What is up, Galahorn Peacekeepers and Human Debris? I am just a simple new type. And in this episode, we are finally concluding Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. Last time, Tekkadan took down Ghastly after killing the turbines. McGillis began his coup and piloted Gundam Biel. He and Tekkadan faced off against Rustel's fleet. Shino was killed trying to take out Rustel's Half-Beat-class ship. This time, we conclude Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. Tekkadan returns to Mars. Galahorn throws Tekkadan under the bus, and some will sacrifice themselves to save the boys. So let's conclude this. Mika is distracted by Julieta. Orga wants to go save Shino, but Eugene tells him the reality of the situation. They don't have time. They have to back it up. Back it up. Let's elaborate on the Regenlays Julia's sword, which is called the Julian sword. There is a sword in each forearm. The swords can switch between sword mode and whip mode. They are made of the same rare metals as the Valkyria blade. While whipping at Mika's mace, Julieta finds a weakness. Mika grabs onto her leg with his tail and smashes her left arm. Julieta says she will be there for Rustel. She says it a few times. Luckily, Mika pierces through Julieta's cockpit before she babbles on about Rustel once again. Mika wipes Julieta off his mace, like she didn't even matter to him. Savage. The Hotarubi self-destructs, releasing nano-mirror chaff, messing with Galahorn's LCS. Isurugi moves in to help Tekkadan, while McGillis fights against Galio. He laughs at Galio for essentially lowering his values to achieve power, no different than McGillis. Isurugi comes in to save McGillis. Galio Siroko's Isurugi. He will hold off the Kamaris while McGillis regroups with Tekkadan. Galio rips Isurugi in half. He believes that Isurugi died in vain for McGillis' delusions. Galio is able to recover what remains of Julieta by sheer luck. Tekkadan is taking one of the turbine's back routes back to Mars and getting the hell out of there ASAP. Zach Lowe tells everyone in the hangar, "Hey man, why don't we just quit?" Unlike him, most of Tekkadan has nowhere else to go. They aren't done fighting either. Derma lost an arm while fighting, but Akihiro cheers him up and reminds him why he gave him the Atlan name. Galahorn is still chasing as they head back to Mars, but being on home turf will make it harder for Galahorn to resupply. Hush says something is different about Atra. Yeah man, she's got Mika's seed up all in her. Julieta is alive in a medical pod. She wants more power to defeat the Gundam. Yamagi is a sad boy. Eugene tells him that Shino knew Yamagi liked him. Although they were family, he wasn't against it. Array Proto of the Galahorn Mars branch informs McGillis that he has been stripped of his rank and status. Galahorn is allying itself with Rustel even though he wields Gundam Biel. Array Proto is indebted to McGillis. He is the head of Mars branch due to the incident with Coral in Season 1. So he is just going to look the other way. A lot of people turning a blind eye in this series. They have made it back to Mars, but Tekkadan's mobile suits were wrecked. They have no extra parts to fix them either. Orga says now that McGillis has absolutely no leverage, he is taking orders from Tekkadan now. Orga wonders who the real enemy truly is, as most of their enemies are just a matter of circumstance. Eugene wonders if they should just throw McGillis under the bus to protect their necks. But Orga won't go against a partnership. However, maybe if he is fighting for nothing, they could break ties. On the news, Tekkadan has been labeled as working under McGillis. So much for throwing him under the bus. They are now criminals. Iok wants to participate in the next battle. Atra wanted to tell Kudelia that Mika's baby juices are inside her, but decides not to. Now that they are labeled criminals, they can't find anyone willing to lend them money for the upcoming battle. All of their accounts have been frozen. Nobilis has cut off ties from the Admos company for working with Tekkadan. He tells Kudelia that if she cuts ties, Nobilis will work with them again. Orga says that she should probably cut ties to save Admos. He gathers the family and tells everyone that if they want to quit, now is the time. Zack says, "Yeah man, I quit. What about family?" Zack tells Dane to come with him. Dane has been around this entire season, but now it's Dane's moment to shine. He mentions to Zack that he murdered people before joining Tekkadan. Tekkadan accepted who he was. For him and most of the family, they are indebted to Orga. Nadi tells Maribet to leave, but she refuses. Orga calls McMurdo and asks if he could get into contact with Rustel. Mika asks Kudelia to watch over his and Atra's baby that he just put in her. Mika made a promise to Orga all those years ago, and he thinks that promise is what is keeping him alive, so he might as well make all the promises. Atra comes in and tells Mika to put a baby in her too. Mika says, "You want a baby? I can make this happen." They all think, "We are really kicking ass at making this harem work." Orga tells Rustel that he is willing to give up McGillis. But Rustel says, "Nah, not good enough. We are going to kill you and set an example. Deal with it." Kudelia suggests that they just disappear and become someone else. It won't be possible on Mars, but on Earth, Arbrow can give them new identities. Dexter tells them that he was able to recover some funds from an offshore account. They lose their internet. Suddenly, Galahorn has them surrounded. They are already here. Zack and some of the others are still at the base. Looks like they are part of this battle now. Galahorn tells the world of their mop-up operation of Tekkadan. Tekkadan is going to blow up the place and hope they think that they all died in the explosion. Nadi tells them of the service tunnels that go directly to Kreese. Kreise? Eugene says, "You know what, boys? I think this is actually going to work." McGillis is mad that Tekkadan is choosing to run, but them feigning their death will allow Rustle to move in closer. This will give him an opportunity to move in and kill Rustle himself. Atra and Kudelia are going to flee to the Admos company while Orga accompanies them and makes a phone call to Makanai. Mika's harem says their goodbyes. Gundam Bael distracts Eok. He takes the bait. He is able to take down Eok, but mobile suits swarm around him. Orga is able to make it out. They make it to Admos and call Makanai. Takaki is working with him. They will help Tekkadan, but they have to make it to Earth first. Aji contacts Kudelia since they can't contact Tekkadan. She learned of the situation and is willing to smuggle them off-planet. Atra will hide out with Kudelia for now. Orga and the boys head back to Tekkadan when a car pulls up and shoots Chad in the shoulder. Orga protects Ride Mass from getting shot, taking a bunch of bullets to the back. Orga shoots one as they flee. Orga dies protecting a member of his family. It was Nobilis who sent the assassins to kill Orga. He is also the one who helped manipulate the media. Tekkadan is digging through the other side of the tunnel. They're finally able to get access to the internet. They learn that Orga was assassinated. Hush is the one to tell Mika. Mika gathers everyone for a meeting. He riles up Tekkadan and tells the people they will still follow Orga's footsteps, even though he is gone. Julieta has recovered from her injuries. But more importantly, she has grown to understand that her heroes are shady as hell. Derma wants to fight, but Akihito wants him to flee. One of the human debris has to live on to have a normal life. During the Hashmal arc, Orga was tempted to go out in his own mobile suit. This happened to be his own personal Shiden. The STH-16TC2, Orga's Shiden, was a gift from McMurdo for Tekkadan purchasing a large number of Shidens. It is no different than a typical Shiden, with the exception of the antenna and visor along with the white nanolaminate armor. Shino referred to it as the King's Throne. Weapons include a 130mm assault rifle, the Partisan Blade, a riot shield, and a shoulder shield. Eugene plans on using this mobile suit. The mobile workers surrounding Tekkadan begin their assault. The NK-17 Galahorn mobile worker is Galahorn's version of the mobile worker, used for patrol and security operations. It is bigger than all mobile workers we have seen thus far, and these can use high-caliber weapons. Because this uses a hydrogen engine, it can function in cities, which devices with AHAB reactors are supposed to stay away from. Weapons include a large-caliber cannon, an anti-personnel chain gun, and missile pods attached to the side. It also has a block system which allows the pilot to eject. Tekkadan mobile suits attack. They try to buy some time so the others can make it through the underground tunnel. In space, McGillis tells his team that they are no longer needed. He's got this, no worries. It was that sneaky asshole, Toto, that got him back into space. He says, "Okay, this is my last appearance, peace." McGillis crashes his half-beak into an Aryan Rod half-beak. Out of the explosion comes Gundam Bael. Gallus Bodine tries to bring Almeria back to the Bodine estate. Almeria says she is staying by her man. It's too late, the cycle of whatever up shit this is complete. Two Grazes rush Hush in the Hekija. He takes out one, but is too slow to take out a second. The Graze goes down, but was able to get a hit on the Hekija's cockpit, gravely injuring Hush. Mika asks how he's doing. Hush always thinks that Mika is the coolest, so he plays his death off as nothing and tells Mika he will defend this area. Mika says, "Cool, peace, I'm out of here." Mika is a little autistic and took a dying man's words too literally, while Hush tried to be cool down to his last breath. If you think about it, it's kind of crazy that Akihito, the big dumb guy, is the best at communicating his feelings out of the boys. Galio and McGillis fight. Rustle doesn't send out more mobile suits as he wants to see how this plays out. Vidarlio tells him that he ultimately seeks power with no real end goal. With the help of Ein, Galio is able to stab McGillis. They crash land into a hangar and McGillis bails. He tries to make it to the bridge to kill Rustle, but Galio is one step ahead of him. The two shoot one another. McGillis is shot. Galio is protected by his Vidar mask. McGillis says that he always acknowledged Galio and Carta, but tried to stay distant because he knew this day would eventually come. McGillis dies while Galio yells at him, while also realizing he kinda forgives him, but he also doesn't want to in the name of Ein and Carta. Rustle sends Julieta down to Mars to finish this. The boys have made it through the tunnel. Mika tells Eugene to fall back and go be a leader while he handles business. Akihito says the same thing to Dante. It's just Full City and Lupus Rex. As they take down Grazes, some fall back. In low Earth orbit is a Dainsleif team. They fire their weapons of mass destruction down on the boys. They're badly injured, but they could still fight. Barbados becomes beast-like. It takes out more grazes, but he gets a few battle axes to the chest. The AVS is in full control of the Gundam at this point. Meanwhile, Iok rushes in and fights against Akihito. The full city crushes Iok, but 2 comrades stab Akihito, stopping him in his tracks. Iok was crushed. This dude's whole arc was people trying to prevent him from fighting, and then he fought and died. What did we learn here? Julieta fights Mika, who is barely hanging in there. He says that he has no purpose. Julieta doesn't understand why one would fight with no purpose. She takes down Barbados. Mika's last thought is him being worried about getting his harem bracelet dirty. This later became known as the McGillis Ferried Incident. Gjallarhorn, who started allowing power to slip away from them, swiftly regained it amongst the Earth Sphere. However, the 7 stars were dissolved and chose a more democratically elected approach. Rustal Elian became the first leader. The economic blocs left Mars Sphere, allowing them to govern themselves. Kudelia became the new Mars Union chairperson. More names were added to the Tekkadan Memorial. Kudelia and Elian worked together to abolish human debris. They signed this new law in Arbrow, home of the former Makanai, who eventually passed away. Eugene is now Kudelia's bodyguard. The AVS has left Galio in a wheelchair. Mika really could have used one of those. For Julieta, she is still coming to terms with the fact that Tekkadan fought, not for politics or power, but merely as a means of living. Fighting was the only way they could express themselves. Takaki is still working on Earth with the new Arbrow Prime Minister. He may one day become Prime Minister himself. Chad is working for Admos while Dante works in an orphanage. Nobilis goes to take a shit when he is assassinated by Ride Mass. He figured out that Nobilis was responsible for Orga's death. Maribet and Nadi started a family. Yamagi is still working as a mechanic. Kudelia visits Atra and her son, Akatsuki. Kudelia loves this world that Tekkadan built for them. And that will conclude Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. This was a great story of a cautionary tale about going out on your own terms. Although the media will use propaganda to throw Tekkadan under the bus, none of the Tekkadan members died in vain. The only Gjallarhorn member that seems to see through all of this is Julieta. Circling back to Gundam, Galio and McGillis mirror Char and Garma. But what if Char's intelligence doesn't match his ego? And what if Garma survived Char's trap and seeked revenge? You simply get a hero with a god complex. It shows that without putting your money where your mouth is, Char would just be a delusional narcissist. Also, statistically, the majority of people who are sexually assaulted tend to sexually assault themselves. There are some freaks out there that think that McGillis is protecting Almeria because he was abused in the past. No, 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 no. Now that we have finished IBO, we will probably return to the 90s and begin our coverage of Afterwar Gundam X. But that will do it for now, human debris. Remember to always go out on your own terms. Peace.